All right, good afternoon. I'm going to start the screen share. Right now, you should be looking at a slideshow presentation. There we go. All right, fantastic. Today, we are talking about mid-semester feedback, which is incredibly timely because, according to my calendar, we are just about halfway through this fall semester. So after today's workshop, in the next 45 minutes or so, I'm going to give you multiple options that you can literally click just a few times on your computer and have a mid-semester survey in your classes today. So now is the time to check this off of our to-do list of soliciting feedback from our students. If you have not yet done so, please be sure to sign in for the chat so that we can get you your flex credit for the day. All right, fantastic. So we're going to begin by identifying some workshop goals and objectives. Again, something I always try and do in these sorts of settings is understand where we're headed. So first of all, I want to give you some background on why anonymous feedback is important, no matter what you teach. Whether you're on ground, hybrid, fully online, synchronous, asynchronous, anonymous feedback gives us insights that we otherwise wouldn't get from our students. So I'll show you some examples of what that looks like. Next, I'm going to refer to several elements of the CVC OEI rubric on why this is important. And then I'm going to give you some examples of feedback in an online course. And along with that, there will be some templates handed off to you today that you can use in Canvas or through Microsoft Office 365, whatever approach suits you. And I will do some compare and contrast as well. And then finally, take some questions that you have about why we're doing this anonymous student feedback. So let's jump into it by addressing what is this all about. This comes directly from the CVC OEI. And I'm not going to read this whole thing. I'll paraphrase it. But in sum, when we teach in a face-to-face classroom, we can often read the room. And what I mean by that is we can tell by body language, by student engagement, etc., how our topics or how our lectures are landing with the students. In an online course, it's argued that we need to be more intentional on inviting this sort of feedback from the students. So that's what this anonymous feedback is all about. So why does it need to be anonymous? Well, there are several reasons for that, but here's one that often comes up. There can be a power dynamic between professors and students. And sometimes students can feel reluctant or intimidated to provide us with honest and constructive feedback. They might feel that it will be held against them in one way or another. So giving them the opportunity to do this anonymously might make them more comfortable with giving us feedback. Do I need to change everything in response to the feedback? Absolutely not. And we'll talk about this as we look at some examples. Some student responses carry more weight than others. And again, depending on what you teach and how you teach it and what the student comments actually are, you will find that some feedback is, oh yeah, that makes so much sense, and others might be reaching a bit more. Ultimately, you are the judge as the instructor. And then finally, I want to clarify that whether you are a full-time or part-time faculty, when you are being evaluated, there is a contractual student evaluation form. That's not what we're talking about today. Today, we're talking about a student feedback survey that you create that is not part of your evaluation and that you administer to your students. So again, I just want to clarify, I'm not getting into the contract language on the evaluations at this workshop. Okay, so some types of student feedback, and there are different ways to break this down, but being very general, we can think of it as quantitative, so multiple choice, or Likert scale. So on a scale of 1 to 5, well, how do you feel about this, that, or the other thing? Qualitative tends to involve more writing, so open-ended, free response. So tell me about your experience in this class, and asking students to write upon that prompt. And then, of course, a mixed approach, which pulls from quantitative and qualitative student feedback. I urge you to think of what yields the most helpful information, depending on what you teach and how you teach it. And of course, if you have hundreds of students across many, many sections, or many large sections perhaps, maybe leaning towards those multiple choice responses is going to be less work for you to take away meaningful patterns. But if you have fewer classes or fewer students, or if you really like to read, then maybe more open-ended questions would be suitable for you. And then there comes the question of credit or no credit. So for me, I offer my students extra credit to incentivize their completion of the student feedback surveys. That's worked for me because I really want them all to participate. When in the past, I haven't offered extra credit, maybe a third of the class will do it. But since I offer a few extra points, I'd say nowadays it's more like 3/4 of the class will complete it. What I do not recommend is penalizing students who do not participate in the feedback survey. So in Canvas, and I'll show you what that looks like in a bit, you could just make the assignment or survey out of 0 points. So whatever points you award will be seen as extra credit in the gradebook. All right, so let's talk some best practices of anonymous feedback. And anybody who's been in a workshop with me in the recent or distant past, you are probably getting tired of hearing about the California Virtual Campus Online Education Initiative. But I keep going back to that as a foundation for why we do what we do and how that can be a best practice. So as most of you know here, in 2014, a course design rubric was developed by the CVC OEI, and it has lots of different things that online instructors can do to make their courses student ready. There are 4 sections of the rubric: Section A on content presentation, Section B on interaction, Section C, assessment, and Section D, accessibility. Now, across all 4 of these, there's 44 criteria. We're not going to look at 44 things today. In fact, we're only focused on Section A, and even there's 14 elements of Section A, but of them, A11, learner feedback, is what pertains to this workshop and discussion, right? So that's where our focus is. I always like to lay that foundation of where this is coming from, okay? So let's look at Section A11 on learner feedback. According to the CVC OEI course design rubric, here we go. There are 3 different levels of achievement for us, the online instructors. If a class is incomplete with criteria A11, that states that learners don't have an opportunity to give anonymous feedback during or after the course design or course content. So if a class doesn't solicit feedback at all from students, particularly anonymous feedback, then in the eyes of the rubric, that would be seen as not quite where it needs to be. Now, in the middle here, an aligned course offers students the opportunity to give anonymous feedback after the course is completed. And this sometimes, I see this often, where in the last week of the semester, students, maybe they take a final or submit their project, and then they take a quick survey on how was your experience in the class. So that would meet the aligned criteria. Moving beyond aligned to the exemplary on the far right is when throughout the course, there are opportunities for student feedback, anonymous student feedback, and at the end of the course. So, and that allows us to possibly implement some of these suggestions from the student feedback while the students are still in the course. So that's what is defined as an exemplary application. So here we go. So how do I respond? That's the trick. Well, it's anonymous, so you wouldn't be responding to individual students anyway. But what do I do when I get this feedback? So when administering a feedback survey, let's say halfway through your semester, like this week, perhaps, you might be alerted to immediately fixable areas of your course. Like if a bunch of students say, hey, professor, a lot of your links are broken. Or it would be helpful to have a reminder of the weekly quiz. Or, you know, sometimes I log in on Monday and the weekly module isn't published yet. So some of those types of suggestions we can do immediately. And that's great because that will improve the student experience in your online course right now. Now, other things are more big picture ideas. So when students provide feedback on how we present content, you know, if you upload slides or if you record lecture videos, or even our weekly workload, you know, hey, professor, it's so much work, I can't keep it straight. Those are things that we need to think about one semester to the next semester. You know, reflect on that, try something new when you teach the class next term. I hesitate to recommend these really substantial shifts in the middle of a course. Changing that much so soon not only creates a lot of extra work for you as the instructor, but it can also throw off some of your students that have found a routine in your class. And here's an important one as well. Please try and take the feedback as genuinely constructive. Yes, there are going to be some comments that sting. I've been there. I get it. We must try not to take that personally. Our students are allowed to have preferences. You know, any of you who've ever been an online student, I'm sure you have preferences. I certainly do. And when we offer those preferences or constructive feedback, let's take it from a place of assuming that it is genuinely constructive to make the class better for everybody in it. All right, so let's look at some examples. And I have a few, but they fall into two different categories: Canvas-based or Microsoft Form. And for this, I like to offer different possibilities, and to identify why, here's some comparison and contrast. So for Canvas-based surveys, okay, and MS Form on the right, Canvas-based offers an opportunity that's easy to award points. So if you want to give extra credit, then Canvas-based is often the way to go. I feel it's most user-friendly. It also uses tools that you're already using. You don't have to learn any more outside technology, just keep it in Canvas. Also, Canvas offers a little less flexibility with question type and format. We're pretty much limited to what you can do in a Canvas quiz. Some questions, like a Likert scale, are complicated to create, but I already made some for you, but if you want to make your own, it takes a little trick. And then it's also not very mobile friendly. So if you want your students to, for example, in your in-person class to take an anonymous survey. And you say, hey, class, everybody get on your phones and take this survey for 5 minutes. The Canvas surveys are not ideal for that. On the right, by contrast, a Microsoft form. It does not sync any points automatically into Canvas. So it really requires the honor system. Basically, you have to rely on students to self-report if they completed a survey or not. Secondly, it requires some basic knowledge on how to use the Microsoft form properly, especially how to share it properly. It does embed easily within a Canvas assignment and a page. You can even put it in a Canvas announcement. That's great too. It's visually appealing. It looks very professionally done. It doesn't have that quiz look of the Canvas survey. And then the MS form can also be used across multiple class sections. And that's pretty cool. So if I'm, for example, I teach anthropology. If I'm teaching 5 sections of Anthropology 1, and I just want to solicit feedback from all 200 some odd Anthropology 1 students of mine, I just create one survey and I give it to all of them. And that can be very helpful to observe those larger patterns in what you do. It is also easy to download and view the responses from the MS form, and it is quite mobile friendly. So if you want students to do it in class, or if they're on their phones anyway, Microsoft Form can be quite user-friendly for them. All right. So let's get to it. Let's look at, I have 4 specific examples of anonymous feedback to share with you. And these are housed in my anthropology demonstration course. And I know many of you here are already a part of that course. Great, good to have you. If you're not, you're welcome to scan the little dinosaur QR code on the screen to self-enroll. I'm also going to share this slideshow with you after the presentation, so you could just use the link in the slideshow as well. But for right now, you could just watch along with me. But today's examples can be classified as mixed questions in Canvas, Likert questions in Canvas, short answer in Canvas, and a Microsoft form survey, which I will show you how to take that and put it in to Canvas. Oops. Okay, so let me do this then. I'm going to make my PowerPoint tiny and go over to Canvas. Great, here we are. So this is my demonstration shell. All right, I got a lot of faculty in here. There's no students in it. It's just for you all to kind of poke around and see some examples from these workshops and whatnot. So there's that. But the first example I'm going to share with you is that of the mixed questions. So look. What I'm going to do is go to quizzes. And here we go, anonymous graded survey. Yeah, student feedback. Okay, I believe it's one of these. Yes, okay. So as you can see from this, it looks very much like any other Canvas quiz or test that you might build. But what makes this different are the settings. So these are very open-ended questions to begin with. For example, what do you wish I knew about this class that would have made it a better experience for you? What habit would you suggest I work on improving to be a better teacher in the future? And then some Likert questions as well. Students can rate their response to each statement. There's a drop-down menu here. The course is organized in a way that supported my learning. They can strongly agree, neither agree or disagree, or strongly agree. Okay, concepts and skills presented clearly. Instructions were clear. Good balance. I felt challenged but not overwhelmed by the content. And then how helpful was I? Do you feel comfortable letting me know when you had a question or were challenged by the material? That's good to know. How helpful was the feedback I gave? Too much, too little, too mean? What comments would you like to add to help me create a better course? And that's it, right? So again, while there is a mix of Likert and short answer, we're definitely leaning more towards the short answer on this one. By contrast, here's an example that is solely made of Likert questions. Example 2, Likert questions in Canvas. So again, getting into similar questions from the previous one, where students just select one response for each of these criteria. Directions were clear. Discussions made a sense of community. Feedback was helpful. And you'll notice these are getting at the same general themes as the more open-ended one. But again, if you have a whole lot of students and you want to find patterns in their responses more quickly, then maybe a Likert scale is a good way to go about that. And then finally, one open-ended question, just to invite some sort of comment on what we can do to make a better course. Then finally, and this one I really erred on the side of open-endedness and free response. If you choose to adopt any one of these, you can modify or remove questions as you see fit in your online class. And I actually encourage that. I wouldn't encourage too many questions. We don't want our students, spending an hour and a half just providing us with anonymous feedback. So again, the questions are quite broad. What would make me a better teacher? Did I make it clear? Were things understandable? What did you like or not like about the organization of the course? Was there anything that made it difficult for you? Did you feel there's a good balance between instruction and application, practice and application? How helpful was I? Did you find my feedback and assignments useful? What habit would you suggest I work on to be a better teacher? And then some more open-ended comments to make the course better. And even name one small thing I can do to be an amazing teacher. And I'm sure you all already are, but we can always learn from these responses. So again, I wouldn't necessarily recommend having 10 free response questions in a survey, but if you choose to adopt this, it's fairly easy to remove the ones that you don't want. Okay, so right now I'm in the quiz preview. If I were to leave that, here we go. Okay. Sorry, I can't see. Zoom was in the way. Okay. When students complete the survey, you can, just like any other quiz, you can take a look at the speed grader to get a sense of the responses. Now, obviously, nobody's taken it because this is just a practice course, but you will see the student's name you won't see the student's name because it's anonymous on the right, but you will see the student's responses on the left. See up here how it just says student 1, student 2, student 3. That's because these surveys are set up to be anonymous. Again, with the intent that nothing is taken personally. There'll be no sort of, it's low stakes for the students to offer a constructive critique if it's anonymous. Okay. And that brings us to the fourth example here, a Microsoft form survey. And that's something I've been trying more recently in my online class. And for that one, I'm going to show you my current live online course. So this is, yes, fall 22. if you haven't seen my online class before in a workshop or whatnot, I do weekly modules, 1 unit per week. And presently, we are in Unit 8, about halfway through the semester. And look at this, I have my mid-semester anonymous evaluation. When students click on that, it is not a Canvas quiz. Look what I've done instead. I've created a Microsoft form that can very easily be embedded into Canvas. And the questions get to the same themes on a Likert scale. This is organized and informative. I visited office hours. The workload is reasonable. I'm learning interesting stuff. My professor is here to help me. I'm comfortable asking questions. I also want to know, when do they do their work? What day of the week? And in my classes, work is typically due on Sunday nights. So I'm interested to see the pattern there. So I throw that question in too. And then additional feedback about the class so far. Again, it doesn't take them a terribly long time to get this done. So let me show you a bit more of the details on how this was done. Again, the previous ones I showed you, it's a Canvas survey. But this one is a Microsoft form that I then brought into Canvas. So take a look at this. Oops, I had to log in. In the Viking portal, we have lots of neat stuff to click on. But the only thing I'm going to click on right now is Office 365. And Office 365 opens up, well, you might have a lot, you might have a little. That's okay. I've got a lot. And one of the apps that we can click on, okay, at the top right or along this left-hand side, is called Microsoft Forms. And clicking on that, you might have nothing here, you might already have something here. But this is where you can click Create a New Quiz and make a survey for your class. Now, I already have a template that I'm going to share with you in just a few minutes, but this is where I make all of my surveys and Microsoft Forms that I then use in classes and even trainings and so on. Creating a survey, we simply click and type questions and then add different Likert style criteria. We can even select if we want to make a question required by clicking that button, or if we want students to be able to select more than one option, and so on and so forth. One thing that I really like about doing the surveys this way is, see up here at the right here, it says responses. We can very easily take a look at the big picture of responses from any student who's taken the survey all at once. Look at this. Clicking on responsive, it shows me some important thing. How many people did it? How long it took them to do it on average. And you can see the general patterns of responses here. So you can see it in the numerically or in the bar graph. How many students have visited office hours, yes or no? Overall workload in this class, reasonable. Okay. Learning interesting topics, great. Comfortable asking questions. Here's something helpful. I told you earlier, my work is due on Sunday nights. Well, most students are doing their work on Saturdays and Sundays. So that's good to know as well. It also helps me think about when I want to offer my office hours. And then additional feedback. And it even creates like a little word cloud here of the most commonly reported ideas. Or you can simply click on more details and see individual comments. And these are all anonymous. I don't know who's saying what. and you can see what individuals wrote in response to your questions. So this is a really handy tool for you to think about. So, oops, here we go. So we looked at 4 variations, 3 of them within Canvas and 1 of them within Microsoft Forms. And of course, if none of these appeal to you, by all means, create your own. But if you are interested in adopting your own anonymous feedback survey, you are welcome to use my templates as a starting point. So you don't have to totally reinvent the wheel here. There's a couple ways to do that. Oops, sorry about that. It went back to the beginning. Here we go. That's okay. Okay, perfect. So the 3 that are available in Canvas are already ready to go within the Canvas Commons. I'll show you how to do that right now. Okay, so look, I'm in Canvas and I'm going to go all the way back to my dashboard. So it's like I just logged in to Canvas. Okay, you will see your classes up here. Hopefully you'll see some online trainings next to it too. But all you need to do is click on Commons in that far left-hand side global navigation. And I put on the slide here, I'll go back to the slide. Oh, no, I didn't put it here. Sorry about that. I did want to clarify, this is just Long Beach City College Canvas Commons. If you are interested in accessing the nationwide Canvas Commons, you can make a free account with Instructure.com, and I can show you that after the slideshow today. But if you're looking for these 3 examples I've given you today, all you need to do is search for anonymous graded survey. And then here they are, 1, 2, and 3. And these are the exact same examples I've showed you here, here, and here. Let's say, for example, you really liked the Likert style one. It's only a few questions. So you click on that one. You can see a preview here on the left. And if you want to put that in all of your web classes today, all you need to do is the following. On the far right, click on Import/Download. And then from this list, select the different classes you wish to import this Likert style survey into. So I'm going to say this section, and this section. Why not? And then you go on down and click Import into Course. That's it. And now Canvas is working a little magic and putting that exact quiz into your online courses, those 3 that you checked. Now, your job isn't quite finished yet, and here's why. Canvas Commons doesn't know where you want the survey to be. So let me show you what you do. When you go, I'm going to check on my course here. Actually, no, I'm going to do my demonstration course instead, so my real students don't get confused. Okay. All right. So if you have a modular structure, you know, module 1, module 2, module 3, etc., you may want to think about putting the first survey, we'll say, in halfway through. Okay, so for a 16-week class, maybe that's week 8 or week 9, that's okay too. But so for me, I'm in my modules, and I'm going to scroll down to week 8. Oh, you know what? Let's do week 9. Why not? Yeah, mix it up. In the module, I'm going to click on this plus button at the top right. And then that survey was imported as a quiz. So I need to add a quiz. Then here are the quizzes I've already made for my students. But if I look through this list, aha, there it is. So the A11 anonymous graded survey Likert style is what I just imported from the comments. Now I was practicing this, which is why you see several versions of it here. But I'm just going to click on the one I just imported and click add item. Oops, got too big. There we go. And now here it is at the very bottom. And of course, you can click these 8 dots to drag it up wherever you want to put it. I usually put mine at the end or near the end of the module. And then you can click on it and make some edits if you want to. I suggest at the very least, you change the name, because students see A11, what does that mean? They don't need to know what the CVC OEI rubric is. So click that edit button, and at the very least, get rid of that A11. You could probably say something like student feedback survey, or even better, anonymous student feedback survey. And you'll notice here, it automatically is a graded survey, and it is automatically out of 0 points. So any points that they do earn is going to be considered extra credit. Now, if you don't want to award credit, again, that is up to you. But if you don't want to award extra credit, you can simply change the quiz type to an ungraded survey. And see that the point value, it goes away. So whichever one suits you. I like to give extra credit, so I keep it as a graded survey at 0 points. The most important thing, and it's already checked for you, keep submissions anonymous. That's the key. We want to make sure that students know their name isn't going to be associated with any one of their responses. If you wish to change up the questions themselves, you can click on the questions tab here. You can do so one by one by clicking the pencil icon. And you can modify the language that I've put in this template here. Oops, keeps looking at my dictionary. If you can modify these, you can even change the Likert scale, but I told you on a previous slide, this can get a little complicated because each possible response has its own different Likert scale. So maybe this is one that you want to practice on before making any modifications to your class. But again, the template that I showed you in comments, it's ready to go. You don't have to change anything. If you want to change the open-ended question, the free response, that's much easier. Just click the pencil and ask a question that you would rather them answer. Or you can add an entirely new question and say, I want an essay question where they respond of what would you tell a friend taking this class, right? And that might give you some useful information too. So either way, whatever you do, you click update question and then followed by save at the bottom right. Great. Okay. So that's, again, the short version of the process of getting one of these 3 templates from Canvas Commons into your course and giving it to your students as soon as this afternoon, if you so desire. But let me also show you the Office 365 capabilities. I'm going to, try to copy this link and place it in the Zoom chat. There we go. Okay, great. Clicking on that link that I just put in the chat, let's see what it does. Here we go. Great. Okay. So when you click on that link, you will probably need to log in to the Viking portal. That's okay. You're supposed to. So you're going to have to log in here, but then it will take you to what you're seeing on my screen. All you need to do is click duplicate it. And when you click on duplicate it, look, now this is yours. This is no longer my survey. Now it is your survey. And you can rename it. In fact, please don't call it template online class survey copy. Call it something, anonymous student survey. You can write whatever you want here to your students so that they could see it. And then you can modify the questions. You could say the class content is organized and informative. Just click on a question. You can modify that text, anything you want it to say. You can make it required or not required, whatever you would like. If you do have office hours, if you don't have office hours, maybe you're part-time, maybe you do away with this question entirely, just click the trash can to get rid of it. And you can always add new questions too. You can do add a choice question, a text question, a rating. You say, hey, rate my class from 1 to 5 stars. Students can have that option too, whatever you would like. But one thing I always like to do before I give it to students is do a preview, see what it looks like. And you do that clicking here, the preview button. And this is what it looks like to students. This is how they will be seeing it. The little red asterisk designates that as a required question. You can even toggle to mobile view. And I told you this looks really good on mobile. I wasn't kidding. It looks very nice on a mobile device. Okay. Great. And click back. Right. And then now here's the key. Depending on how you want to solicit your student feedback to this survey, you're going to need to click collect responses. And now look. All right. So a couple things you can do. One, if you teach a hybrid class and you have your students in the classroom, check it out. Click this button right here and show this to your students in class. They could scan it with their phones and they could take the survey right there in front of you, or you could leave the room if you want to, whatever you like, but they will have it on their phone very quickly and easily. Another option, of course, you can just share this hyperlink right here. Put it in an announcement or an email to your students, whatever you'd like. The way that I do it is clicking on this embed option, and it gives you some HTML code. Now, don't let that intimidate you, because all we need to do is copy paste. So look, I'm going to click the copy button. So I have that HTML embed code on my clipboard. Then I'm going to come to Canvas. And look, I'm going to do my demo course. Let's say I want my students to hear this through an announcement. So look, I click on announcements. I'm creating a new announcement. And then I insert, embed, and paste. Click on submit. And now my survey, my Microsoft form, I'm just going to send this and confuse a lot of faculty enrolled in this course. My survey is embedded within the Canvas announcement. In fact, I'll delay posting so it doesn't throw people off too much. Okay, so look, we click on save and see how it looks. It's embedded very nicely here within Canvas. So that's one way to do it. You can also do it within an assignment as well. Emily, I saw your hand go up. Did you have a question about that?
I do have a question, but I didn't know if this was not appropriate for this workshop. It was mostly on Office 365. Sometimes I make these surveys, but I want to go back and look at the questions. But when I go back and I click on that link, it's the Excel form. Like I can't go back to the actual form.
Oh.
So maybe I should use that question for another Office 365 workshop. I don't know if it's just, or it's like after a student, like one student does their first response, then I can't go back to the actual questions and survey.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, maybe we can talk about that offline.
Yeah.
You can download them in Excel. And maybe what's happening is you're clicking on Excel instead of forms. And that might be why you're not able to access those questions. But let's take a look at that after we're done here.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, so cool. So again, where are we? Boom. Okay. So we have the 3 Canvas-based anonymous student surveys, and then the 1 template Microsoft Form survey. If you don't already survey your students, choose one that you want to try out this semester and see how it goes. You don't have to do it now. You can wait till the end. That's fine. But I wanted to do this during week 8 so that folks who want to try it halfway through and at the end have that opportunity to do so. So let me get to just one more slide, or excuse me, 2 more slides before we just focus on questions. Some final considerations. So be cautious of asking for too much feedback from your students. If you are currently being evaluated by the contract, if you administer multiple surveys on your own, your students might get tired of always giving feedback on their classes. So for me, one in the middle and one at the end is a good balance. When I am being evaluated, I might skip the one at the end or do it in a different way. Maybe only one question where they could just provide general feedback. So beware of that feedback fatigue, because it takes time out of their day that they could otherwise be doing other things. And also, what if it's mostly negative? I told you before, sometimes the feedback can sting. 1, we can't take it personally. But 2, if you're seeing pattern after pattern after pattern of, Professor, I wish you did things this way instead. I wish things were this way instead. Then focus on something within your control that is very frequently brought up by your students. And then come up with a plan, acquire the skills to redesign that aspect. And that might be more training, conferring with your colleagues, asking me, I'm happy to help out with those things, on coming up with a plan to fix one thing at a time if you desire to do so. So again, try not to get bogged down by trying to redesign your entire online course halfway through the semester. Focus on those big patterns and find solutions that work for your technological know-how and gaining new skills. So with that, I want to walk the walk with you all. And here's what I mean by that. I've been talking for, oh my goodness, the last 50 minutes about anonymous feedback and how that's important. I appreciate your anonymous feedback too. Okay, so what you're seeing on screen, and you don't have to do it now, I'm going to email you later, but what you're seeing on screen is a QR code and also a hyperlink, which I will paste into the chat right now. Perfect. And I'll show you about your online teaching workshop experience. So far this semester, I've hosted 4 different online teaching workshops, including this one today. And I'm asking you about how it went for you. What else you want to learn? What else you want to see? How likely you are to return and come back for more workshops. So again, this is something I do with my students, and also as online coordinator, I strongly believe is important with my faculty colleagues. So I know what I could be doing better. So again, just want to walk the walk with you on that one. But now I'd like to stop the recording and spend the next few minutes with any questions or comments on this presentation. So let me